Hey, what's up, guys? We are back. And as you can see, we're back in quarantine, doing it virtual for you guys once again. Uh, you know what, Smith?
Yeah.
First thing I got to say is what went wrong with the COVID recovery? what went wrong with these stages? You know what I mean? And before you answer
Yeah.
that question,
hmm
let me just fill the folks in real quick if they are joining us for the first time.
Yes.
I am film director Imani Shakur, and this is my partner in charge over here, partner in crime, Smith, Christopher Smith, aka Crispy. And we're a podcast about history, politics, and race from a pop culture's perspective. I usually say from a swag perspective. And
Yes,
we
you do.
also cover current affairs, guys. And we had been covering COVID for a while, then we stopped when stuff went back to normal. And it seems like we have a spike all over the U.S. and even in our town, we've had some interesting things happen that we'll discuss once we get rolling here. So now we're back in quarantine, and today we were gonna talk about how slavery impacted the African American female and male relationship, but instead we are going to talk about COVID. Hope you guys had a good, safe 4th of July, and I hope it was 6 feet apart, somewhere outdoor, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And you wore your mask. Anyway, Chris is a veteran of the Army Reserves, and he currently works for the VA, and he loves history, politics, and race. And I'm a filmmaker from Trinidad and Tobago, and I've always had a love for the same. We try and travel a lot. I'm still upset that my travel plans got kind of nixed this year. I try to go somewhere every year. And it's about truth. It's not about pro any race. It's about pro truth. And we always say the truth offends you. We're sorry, not sorry.
Uh,
That's what we always say. So that's who we are. If you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe on ISENT Group Digital. And don't forget to follow us on social media. And if you already follow us where you get your podcast, thank you. Keep listening. We appreciate it. So like I was telling Smith as we started, man, what in the world happened?
Man, well,
mean?
what didn't happen though?
Let me pull my phone out to take some notes, man, as we get into today's show.
So I'm going with the fact that um, basically Trump is not making things better. So by him, even though he says he's not opposed to masks or whatever, and he's indifferent, but the point is he's indifferent. It should be masks for mandate nationwide, social distancing nationwide. Just unfortunately due to the fact that that conflict in people's heads are going on. And when you go out, everyone wants to say, you don't have to wear the mask, okay, well, either I want to, or, maybe I have something, immune with myself that I don't want to, and I know someone will say, well, you shouldn't come outside. Well, what? Just because someone else thinks they're healthy and they're not, but that's my biggest blamer is the fact that he's not supporting the mandate to wear masks. And if you see him on the news, he's not wearing a mask even around other people.
It's poor leadership at its best.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? If I could piggyback on what Smith just said, guys, by saying, and me and my mother had a big argument about this morning, and what I was explaining to her is she was going, well, son, no matter what, I'm wearing my mask. And I said, yeah, I got you. I'm wearing mine too. But I said, the reason why a lot of people are frustrated about it and making it political is partly because of exactly what you just explained. We've gotten so many mixed messages from the CDC, from this person, from that person, from what you hear nurses saying in interviews, and like you say, the leadership from the top is also not doing it. And to me, that's the biggest mixed message of them all. Go ahead.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say, I recall things pretty particular. In the only instance I can say where we were told not to wear masks, and then when it was told to wear masks, since we've been told to wear a mask, no one has said you should. Do you know what I mean? I'm referring to WHO and the CDC. You know, both groups have said you should be wearing a mask.
Always wear a mask.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, even in our town, they said you didn't have to at a certain. Remember, way before.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I guess I just wanted to make it clear that as far as the health professional or the groups that are dealing with our health, with World Health Organization and the Center for Disease, CDC.
Yeah, Center for Disease Control, right?
Both those spots. Once they recommended face masks, they have not changed and said you should not wear face masks. I mean, Fauci.
Right. No, I got you. I agree.
So that's the people the things that are making it back and forth is you hear things and you're told, well, you don't have to wear a mask if you're exercising and you're on the move.
Right.
You don't have to wear a mask if you're 6 feet apart. But then people just take that and take it to extreme, because you can be in a restaurant and you're sitting 6 feet apart, but then you've got someone who's walking to the bathroom, or they'll walk, through the restaurant, and they won't wear a mask. Like they'll wear the mask in, but they won't wear the mask when they're leaving, or they won't wear the mask to the bathroom. Could that cause something? Could you get it even if you're just sitting there? That's possibly true too. But overall, the biggest point is people aren't really following the guidelines like they want. I went shopping with my girlfriend, and big old signs that say "Don't touch."
Right.
And unfortunately, she was like, and I get it. Your nature is to, and I'm sure she didn't even read the, or she did. She just ignored it. And I was going to say something, but I figured if the people aren't, if the staff doesn't say something, then where should I really say something? I don't.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But at the same time, she washed, did the hand sanitizer when we walked in and stuff like that. So it's not like she was, wiping her nose and touching stuff. No. So that's the only difference because I know she's, she does keep herself clean. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and again, there's all these mixed messages, man. And,
sure.
I have a lot of stuff on my list here, but I think that I want to talk about what went wrong first. That's what I want to talk about. Like, what went wrong? And I would definitely say, like you just touched on, the mixed messaging.
Yes, mixed messaging was the main culprit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Again, Trump not wearing a mask, just fighting the whole thing. And when he gets someplace, like when he was on tour and actually told and had to wear a mask, and then when he was told, oh, you don't really have to, then he took it off. Quickly people want to not wear them. I get it. I've worked in an area where I had to wear it, for a nice amount of shit. For a shift of work. Mm-hmm. It isn't fun the whole time. And you get to take it off if you're, in a back room and by yourself and stuff like that. You do, but you still run the risk of contaminating other people if you somehow get it.
Exactly.
Or just getting it yourself, because you really don't know what your coworkers are doing when they're not working.
Right. Yeah. It really seemed as if when the stages started to roll out, people took that for granted and took that to mean, oh, it's completely back to normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially in places like Arizona and stuff like that, and Florida, Texas. who the people were, Texas, hitting, the bars, just shoulder to shoulder as if nothing went wrong. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is, it's not really about a bunch of young, healthy people getting this thing and getting put in the hospital and dying. It's about the young, healthy people like us having it and being asymptomatic and or having it and getting it and passing it to people that are more vulnerable, i.e. the seniors, i.e. the younger people with health conditions, whether it be diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, because those are the things and the people that this disease seems to attack and like take out, and the problem is, if that happens and the healthy people like us don't quarantine and keep it at a minimum, the hospitals will get overwhelmed. Then
Which
they won't be able to
certain.
take, which is happening already.
Yeah.
And I have to say that, we talked about this on some of the other podcasts when we started covering COVID.
Yeah.
Didn't we say that? Like if they open like this too early, we'll be in the summer, it's gonna get out of control.
And we even said that if they don't follow the guidelines of waiting a couple weeks to actually see that the numbers are falling, but it was like, oh, things are good. Okay, we're at phase 1. And then people are like, what about phase 2? Like, can we get through phase 1? Again? And then you get to phase 2, it's like, where's phase 3? Like, can you get through the first, there's no patience. And seeing, just people going to town halls and protesting, or, there's a lot of videos, and the new phrase is Karens. People aren't familiar with that. Karens that are just on getting caught on video, upset that they're supposed to wear a mask, and then they throw stuff or make ruckus, and then actually I've seen people where they in those videos where they run up on someone and start coughing on them. Like, what is all that about? Like, I just can't believe it.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man.
Which makes me think of, I'm sorry, which quickly made me think of something you had said months ago, how COVID was being labeled, or somehow, like, if you did something in particular, it could be criminalized. If you passed COVID on.
Yeah. So. I mean, and it's funny, I was watching the news earlier, and it was showing, they were asking, like, how did California go wrong? Because, and I'm only talking about the state that we're in, obviously, and they were saying how they were showing, how California pretty much did everything correctly. Besides, some of the bars and stuff like that, and besides the beach and stuff like that. But the beach is supposed to be outdoors where air should be flowing. Yeah. I think if you're not 6 feet, you probably can transmit, even if you're at a beach, even though you're outside. Yeah. So I think if you're outside and you stay a certain distance, you should be okay. Theoretically. So they were asking the questions like, where did California go wrong? Because they're really trying to figure it out, because they thought they were doing it correctly. Yeah. Restaurants had things up. You know what I mean? And, that brings me to our bar 1909. I never had a chance to, if people who are just joining us, we talk about where we live, me and Smith, all the time, that we live in the wine country area of Southern Cali, which is like an hour and 20 outside of downtown Los Angeles, if you're not familiar. We're like southeast of downtown LA,
Correct.
And
northeast of San Diego.
Of like SD, exactly. And one of our most popular bars / restaurant, 1909, they ended up with, I think, 7 employees, 13 customers with COVID. And from what I understand, I never had a chance to go inside. I heard you went inside, and maybe you can shed light on this. From what I understand, they actually had it set up correctly in the place as far as social distancing. But they said the problem was the people standing in line, because when me and Lisa rode by several times, twice when we wanted to go in, we did see the line, and people show like right next to each other. Outside trying to wait to get in. And they were saying that the problem was the way they handled the waiting area right outside. If you're familiar with Old Town and this restaurant we're talking about, for those listeners, what the mistake was standing right outside. People were in such close proximity, even though they were outside. Apparently, that's where all the transmission took place. Either that, or even though they were in the restaurant, it's still, even though they had social distancing in the place, it's still somehow, you know what I mean?
I know. I mean, the worst case scenario is somehow an employee contaminated their customers. That's the worst case scenario I can only think of. Because when I went, and then my experience was we both wore face masks, waiting for the table, and we got the table. We were outside,
off so you could eat, and
you take it off and you eat, and we were a very good distance from everyone else that was. In fact, I felt more distance than other people, and I remember, it was the sun was coming in, and where I was sitting, I was burning hot. So I had to kind of keep sliding over, but there was I had no one near me to make it where I had to just sit, if that, so I was able to still move and not be near someone. The only person that, again, who came close, that, and I've seen it where you're talking to someone, the server comes over and their face mask is either at their nose or somehow it's like just below their mouth. You're like, damn, could you make sure, but you, being in that industry, you sometimes just forget real quickly, but because it's not a normal thing that we do every day or have done in the past. Right. Unfortunately, it is something that, like I think we said, it's really about to become the new normal until the vaccine. Like, wearing a mask needs to happen, and it's not, like a person's afraid of something or anything like that. You're just trying to not pass on and potentially kill, have someone die from something that could be preventable. Slightly prevented,
and the funny thing is
reducing the chances are
and the funny thing is South Korea, they, as we talked about before, never shut the economy down, never did any of that, never made anyone stay home, but they made everybody wear masks, and they only had like 300 deaths, and they didn't have any problems. Wow. See, with us, we ended up, wearing masks and stuff like that.
And I don't know if anyone has
not
seen
wearing masks,
seen a posting where it showed coughing on a petri dish and or coughing through the mask and how much bacteria is what's released and how it changes and affects. And it was huge. It's huge. Just not wearing a mask.
When you see the infrared, right, and you see exactly what happens.
This was actually petri dishes.
Okay.
And so someone was speaking just normal speak or yelling, and then they showed how how the cultures would develop. Yeah. And then they did with a mask, and they did the same thing, saying.
Yeah, just like some of the studies I've seen before. Yeah, it was barely any on there. So it mitigates it a lot wearing a mask. Yeah, and I gotta blame those conspiracy theory YouTube videos, man, that people have been Washington, that people have been watching. I definitely blame them for politicizing the thing with the mask. Oh, they can't tell us what to do. They're taking away our civil liberties. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, man, that's one of the most frustrating things, I swear, that just irks me. You know what I mean? And my daughter's mom was one of them, and even had my daughter saying that crap, going to the mall, going, I don't need the mask, Dad. Someone has to tell me to put it. I'm like, Layla, what are you talking about? Put your mask on. You know what I'm saying? And she was getting it from her mom because her mom did the same exact thing. You know what I'm saying? She's been watching these dumb conspiracy videos, that like follows Trump. And she's been believing them and going, they're taking away your civil liberties. What's the mask really going to do? What are you talking about? It's logical. If something is in front of my mouth, it's not going to come out as much as if I go like this. That's normal. Like, that's normal logic. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
You don't need a scientist to break that down. You should be able to yourself be like, okay.
Right. That's normal logic. Yeah. Whether you a Trumpster, whether you believe in the conspiracies, that is normal, common sense, practical knowledge. If you wear a mask, it's going to help. If you don't wear a mask, it's not going to help. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And I know someone else who said when you wear a mask, you're only supposed to wear it for so long. And I get that point too. But at least wear something as opposed to not. I mean, they've already said it. Wearing something is better than nothing.
Right. So what does that mean? To only wear it so long? I don't understand.
Well, because they're only supposed to. A true mask is only good for like 20 minutes or something like that. And after 20 minutes, you should change and wear a different one.
Why is it 20 minutes? I don't understand that logic either. It's still going to stop stuff from coming out if something is in front of you.
No, I still agree with that. But there's that's a good one. You know what? I'm gonna have to look into that to figure out if that's I think it's more if you're in a hospital setting, but I could be wrong. But or it reduces the efficiency or the strength of whatever when the mask has been worn, which it doesn't make sense to me because, like you said, the droplets are not going to get through. So what are you
talking about?
If you're talking about some airborne thing that actually somehow can penetrate the face mask, and it's irregardless of, it's something else. Okay, I get that, but that's not what we're talking about right now. So again, I'll have to, I kind of want to do some more search on that, because I think that's where people are also trying to make the stigma of, oh, well, how long have you been wearing it? Like, what does it matter? Obviously, it's not spread. You're not going to get any droplets out of this, no matter how.
No matter how long you've been wearing it.
Yep.
I have heard to hand wash them or wash them, which is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have I think about 5 or 6 masks now. And I'll hand wash them, but you switch them out and stuff like that. I have heard it's good to do that to keep them clean and stuff, but that's normal, the way you would wear a shirt or some socks.
And if you do it right, I mean, if you're trying to get the N95 filter part, like a mask I have has a little vent, but there's a little pocket where I slide a filter in.
Yeah.
Now that obviously probably can only last for 20 minutes to be efficient. And then I got to, supposedly slide another one in. But if I'm not, doing something surgical, I don't know that I need to be that efficient. I mean, it's just covering and not having, your.
And it only works if everyone uses it. You know what I'm saying? Right. It prevents us all from spreading it to each other when everyone has a mask on. I mean, it's simple math, guys. Like, one of the things I don't like is when I walk into a place and everyone has a mask on and 1 or 2 guys don't, because I'm like, those droplets can get in our eyes unless we're wearing goggles that covers everything up. That's what people don't get. You know what I mean? So it only works, once again, if everyone uses it. You know what I mean?
Now that you said that, I wanted to bring up what you were asking, like, how did this happen? One thing that you mentioned is Arizona. Mm-hmm. Arizona's right next door. I mean, as far as I know, Nevada, Vegas just reopened. So it's not like people from Vegas. But let's talk about Arizona. And their numbers had gone up. And people have gone, a lot of people from Southern California to go Lake Havasu.
And the other place in Arizona.
And Phoenix is only 6 hours from where we are. Right. So, I mean, the idea that someone went to Arizona or someone from Arizona came out here, because right now there's no restriction between those states where at least, we can't, and I don't know if just to add to it, like California is now on the list of, like, for New York, you have to be quarantined
for New Jersey and Connecticut,
for 2 weeks, but and
all the tri-states,
all those states are working together. Which again, it would have been nice if California and Arizona and these particular states around us, next to us, touching us, had agreed to to the same thing. Actually, the whole West Coast, states. It would have been nice if they all came to some agreement.
Because I really don't think people realize how much we travel back and forth between states and countries. You know what I mean? When something like this hits, it lets you know that it does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, it would be good if we were able to, like you say, stop people from going states like that, because people don't realize one thing I was about to say, I didn't even realize how much we travel until I saw it when this hit. How frequently and how much we travel back and forth between states and countries. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's crazy, which is what makes I don't mean a country, which is what makes a pandemic like this spread so easy.
So easily, It's the restrictions that are going on. I mean, you have to wear, a mask, the whole time you're in the airport and on the plane. And I'm sure people are taking them off at times, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, people are still flying, traveling for different reasons. Not everybody, most, for the most part, but because the airports, at least they were pretty empty. But then I heard they had started getting,
busy
getting busy again. So for whatever reason, 3 months in home and people kind of freak out. And as soon as they go back out, they just lose their mind.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's only essential travel. I mean, me and my girl had planned some stuff for her birthday. We canceled it. I mean, I have a trip coming up in next week, going to scout some locations for this movie I have coming up once this, settles down. So I'm only traveling even for essential travel. You know what I mean? And I have a trip planned for my daughter and myself to go to that march on Washington. But, if it keeps going like this, I might have to cancel that. You know what I'm saying? Because what I'm concerned with is, and Washington may say, hey, we don't want people from those states.
Yeah.
So if we have to go there, and you know what's funny? I checked, and at first Washington had said that, but then they took themselves off the list.
Oh,
that's interesting. At first they had said we don't want people from the states either, but Washington took themselves off. But if they come back and say that, how are we going to go to some march when you have
to wait 2 weeks?
We have to wait 2 weeks to even get there. It's like, and I went on Al Sharpton's site yesterday just to see. And I responded in one of the posts like, hey, does anyone know, is the march still going on, in lieu of the COVID cases rising? And I looked on his page, and 5 hours before I did the comment, they had a post about it, that the march is still going on.
Wow.
So I don't know what they plan on doing, but I'm not going to have me or my daughter there if things.
And what month is that again?
It's in August. It's the end of August, which we're 2 months out. But
I wouldn't. I'm not going.
I don't see it happening. I mean, let's see. And if it is going on and things are looking better, I'm gonna go on Amazon and get me and my daughter one of those things that covers our eyes and everything.
Oh, okay.
And the mask. That's kind of the plan we have, just in case.
Yeah.
So let's see, man. I might see if I can cancel it and save it for when this is over, so we really can see some stuff there.
I mean,
but it ain't looking good for the march, Al. It ain't looking good for y'all.
I almost feel like they should just postpone.
They should postpone it till next year. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because right now it's not looking good.
Yeah.
It's just not. And I just talking about my daughter, and I was worried about her going into school for her sophomore year. And her school just sent me an email before we started the show that they're starting online only, and they're going to try and phase in to some hybrid type system where maybe a certain group of kids going one day a week.
Okay.
And then the other days they do the online. But they said they'll let us know when they implement the hybrid system and stuff like that. So, she's not even going back to school, when her sophomore year starts in August. It's crazy.
I mean, I'm hearing a lot of different things about colleges too. I know some people had posted how their kids are going to college next year. And that one kind of they could do it. You could, but who wants to who wants to pay rent out of state or wherever when you're not even actually attending classes, or you're attending classes once but I guess if you're attending class once a week, it's not that bad. And if you can, get to see someone, and you just wear a face mask if you need, lessons or whatever. It's like I said to you earlier, we were talking, and I pretty much, 2020 is a wrap.
I completely agree. One of the things I want to talk about before we go is this 30-year-old guy from the bar who caught it, and he was in the hospital for 8 days. You look at him, I mean, he doesn't look like the healthiest guy. He doesn't look unhealthy either. The most important thing is that he did survive, which proves what people have been saying. If you're fairly healthy, you'll survive this thing. But he was talking about how he couldn't breathe. It was so hard.
Yeah.
He was just on CNN, and he was talking about how the one drug, Investivir, or however you say it, forgive me for saying that wrong, that's what they gave him in the hospital, and that's what actually brought him out of it.
Wow. Cool.
You're remdesivir, I think.
Remez.
Something like that. You guys know what we're talking about out there.
It's not hydrochloroquine.
Exactly. It's not that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that. So one of the last things I want to talk about, go ahead.
What I was going to point out is I was reading an article that said that if Trump had done it right, or if he even tried to implement it right now, the economy could rebound if he were actually to implement mandatory masks for everyone. Because it would mean that everyone could walk around and do what you need to do, shop how you wanted to shop, do blah, blah, blah. And it wouldn't be an issue. But the fact that he is so unwilling, it kind of makes me think that when someone presents him a mask, he's like a kid going, I don't want to. No.
He says he doesn't want to be seen like that or something. He said he doesn't
like
want
it makes him
like
wimp, but it just feels like he sticks to a talking point or I'm gonna make this point that I'm not gonna get sick. Which I mean, he's got health professionals around him to make sure he doesn't get sick.
He gets tested every day.
Yeah,
and unfair every day.
I know. I don't know if you recall, there was that time when he rushed off to Walter Reed Hospital, and he sounded sick, and people were wondering if he had gotten it around that time. Yeah, but no one knows because it's a military hospital. He can control the records and everything like that. But, and I'm not trying to make it a big conspiracy thing, just point it out that if it is true. But some other things, if I may bring up, it's kind of interesting if anyone had read about the bounties that the Russians were paying Afghanistan or terrorists to kill troops. Kind of makes me nervous if that's true.
Yeah.
And it also makes me go, where are the people who wanted to nail Hillary for Benghazi? Just
where
anyone, anyone who feels they're patriotic. If this is a true thing which should be investigated and should be looked into, and the fact that you hear he's been briefed. Oh, he wasn't briefed. Well, why wasn't he briefed if he because why are you withholding some information from the president or vice president? And if neither one of them knew, and there's just way too many weird questions about that that needs to be looked into.
I mean, if we go off his record, he probably was briefed, but now was just trying to lie,
backtrack out of it.
Backtrack out of the whole thing. I do want to say real quick that California shut down all indoor activities, and I'm hoping the gym isn't next. I love going to my gym. We're inside. So I just have a funny feeling the gyms are going to be next. I don't see why. But hopefully, if that does happen, we can set something up in my gym. We could do it outside. That's what I'm hoping. The indoor Zoom stuff was cool. There's nothing like being in the place. I just want to say that we are officially shut down, I think, for 3 weeks. All indoor activities. They're saying that the restaurants and everything can open back up as long as they have an outdoor situation. And, some of these restaurants can't support a substantial income with just their outdoor capacity. It's not enough to sustain the overhead, whether it be to run it, the employees, so places like Miramonte, one of our wineries in town, where their restaurant was outdoors anyway, I'm sure they can. Even though they had to eliminate some seating, I'm sure they still can probably make a little money to keep it going. But I feel bad for those restaurants that are not able to, or they don't have a big patio area where they can really do it outside and have everybody separate and still make some money, man. I feel because a lot of families that are not going to be able to support themselves and eat because of this stuff. And like we were saying in the shows before, people, we got to just bite the bullet and get it right, you know what I'm saying? And keep it right so we don't have to keep going through this yo-yo. That's the last thing that I have to say.
And people should really be looking at what is being presented and talked about as far as the COVID-19 coronavirus. Because I've even read something that said that the asymptomatic patients out there could actually be still something could be developing within their lungs that could make it worse for them even. So there's a lot we don't still know about this virus, this disease, and it has to be really watched. And until then, you can't, trying to downgrade it to just the flu, and the fact that over 130,000 people have died from it. It's not a flu. It's not.
No, it's worse than any other thing that's killing people in the United States now.
Sure.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I saw a chart that Neil deGrasse Tyson put out. The astrophysicist, and it was interesting. They have a chart that they showed how this has killed and is killing more people than anything else in the U.S. right now.
So all the people who try to compare it to something else, it's blowing them out. So it's blowing them out.
Yeah. It really is. If all the numbers are true, and even if, like we had said on another show, even if they're inflating some numbers, we also hear that they're not reporting some numbers. So maybe it's evening out.
It's evening out. Yep.
Maybe it's evening out.
And the one thing, I definitely agree. And there's something else that I one day said that I have to backtrack out of or rephrase is, as Trump says, more testing means more cases.
Yeah, he said that on his rally. That's why they're going up, because we're testing more. Go ahead.
Which is a very stupid statement, because even if you don't test, the cases are still there. However, what's being noted right now is we should be going down because people should not be spreading it. The fact that people are being, going to get tests done and they're showing up positive means that they actually have it right now. It's not like that they had it 2 months ago. No, it means that they actively have it right now. So if those numbers are going up, it is spreading. So people really have to understand that, yes, more testing will mean more cases, could mean more cases, but it's because more people who are sick are going in to be tested.
Right. If it wasn't going up, all those tests would be negative.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So they're testing a lot of people, and a lot of them are coming up positive.
Because you could have more testing and people could just be negative, and we were like, hey, it's not
working.
Going up. Yeah,
it's not going up. So that's a false equivalency once again to compare the testing to the rates of going up. That makes no sense. But all the conspiracy theorists are going to say, oh, it's going up because they're testing more, and not even think about what they're actually saying.
Yeah.
No, it's going up because people are testing positive. Not because they're testing more. You know what I'm saying? Like, dummies, man. Anyway, guys, there's a lot to say about this stuff always. I wanted to talk about the hidden, the woman from Hidden Figures, African-American sister that now NASA's going to name one of the things. Her. And I think it's amazing that it took this whole movement and George Floyd dying to finally get our historical figures on some monuments and buildings.
Yes.
So they can, build, our self-esteem and people like my daughter's self-esteem and stuff like that. Finally, we start to get some credit for what we've done, and all these negative statues are being torn down. That's the last thing I want to say.
And it hopefully would eliminate, hearing for basically people who have prejudicial or racist mentality, where I've heard people say, what have blacks or African Americans brought, done for this nation? And because of the fact that our history or our participation isn't being elevated, it looks like
we didn't do
very little.
They don't even know that we built this country. They have no idea.
Correct. And I also want to add again, like, I was still shocked. I'm still proud of NASCAR for what they've done.
Yeah.
And I will say that was a noose that was in Bubba's garage.
Absolutely.
You can't. I understand it was there supposedly for over a year, but that's a noose.
It still was a noose, right?
Yeah.
And none other garages had it tied like that. Yeah, and it shouldn't have been there.
And it was the only garage that had a noose. There was ties, but that was the only one with a noose. But it was there for over a year. Anyway, and what other? Yeah, all the changes. Dixie Chicks. Now they're the Chicks.
Yeah.
Just
John Wayne at the airport here in Southern Cal. They're thinking about changing it back to Orange County, the airport, taking John Wayne's name off of it.
I agree. And then who else? So many little things, that are that. Oh, Louisiana,
the colleges. Yeah.
Was it Louisiana is taking the Confederacy part of off their state flag? Just the fact that
is it Mississippi or
maybe it's Mississippi?
It could be Mississippi.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I
it's
just
one
know
of those southern states.
It's changing. It's taking it
Tennessee,
off their state flag. Yeah. And that one, I'm a problem. Just hearing these little things that obviously, as Black people growing up or African Americans growing up, we always have seen it and hated it. But it's like, who do you really complain to? I mean, you complain, no one really cares. And then, and I'm just going to add with that is like, people just want to throw stuff back at you. Like I have someone on Facebook wanting to argue about a statement I put out there that the Democratic Party did not create the KKK, and they didn't start the Civil War. And if I may kind of change this, just kind of continue on this mindset with mine for me is, so obviously Democrats at the time, which were really Confederate soldiers, started the KKK. Southern states, seceded from the Union, and here's a way to do reparations. An idea is you take all them southern states and you figure out their the income that's needed to run them states, and use that, just the southern states, because they're the ones who should be repaying for what they attempted to do, and they could put that money towards African American ancestries of enslaved Africans. Yeah. So there's a way to get some money.
One good
and
idea.
Figure, just some, instead of making it like everyone feel like, oh, why here? I'm in Illinois, or even though there were slaves up north too. But I get when it hit the fan, in those states tried to keep it around, but on a national level, slavery was just part of the whole nation. So
of course, and not only that, I mean, you got to remember, a lot of those slaves that built that stuff on the South migrated and moved to California, Chicago, and they never was paid for what they did.
Correct.
So they're still all around the U.S. where they reside, even though most of us started in the South, stayed in the South, and was enslaved in the South. You know what I mean? So yeah. Right. Anyway, man, is that it, Smith?
If I may do one little shout out, I have a good friend, his wife. So my friend is going through brain cancer.
Oh, sorry to hear.
Yeah, he's been battling with it, and it's just not at a good point right now. So anyway, she created her own podcast that I just think it's a different thing than what we're talking about, but it's called, and hopefully this doesn't mess up our thing, but it's called When Shit Gets Real. And what it's about is she is, a health a caretaker for someone who is, housebound or is has cancer, can't take care of themselves. And then she has 3 kids. She just describes how she gets through her day. So again, it's on the website is whenshitgetsreal.net. Sarah, and she's really good. I listened to some of it. She's got her kids talking. It's kind of emotional. It's just a really good show. So
got it. Okay, cool. So we'll definitely be praying for Sarah and Tyler. And Tyler. Yeah, and I'll have you send me the link. So I can put it in the description of this show so people could check in on that.
Cool, thanks.
So yeah, that's our show, people. We'll see you guys next week. Like I said, hope you had a safe, happy 4th. I know we definitely did. Don't forget to subscribe on ICNT Group Digital and keep listening where you get your podcast. It's the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur and Smith.
Thank you.
We are out, and keep your mask on. Don't believe
Keep it on.
Keep your mask on.
And social distance.
And social distance. All right, Smith. Thanks for checking in, man. I'll catch you next week.
All right.
All right, sounds good. Peace.